Hi, my name is Lori Groh. I'm owner of VitalMinds, and today we have Katelyn Kosinski with us. Thank you
Hi,
for coming,
Lori.
Katelyn.
Hi, Lori.
So today we're just going to get to know you a bit better, Katelyn, and we'll go through some questions. And let's start
Perfect.
with who's your ideal client?
Yeah, so I kind of have two parts answers to that question because I see individuals and I see couples. So with individuals, I typically see people who are suffering with some symptoms of anxiety and depression, or maybe even ADHD. Um, I also tend to kind of groove really well with the young adults who are struggling just with like life transitions, maybe going from college to the workplace or relationship transitions in your 20s. Those can be really challenging. So I definitely really work well with that area. And then with couples, typically I see people who are just looking to either just improve their relationship, whether it be like communication or intimacy type things. And I've also worked with couples who are really struggling with something maybe a little bit bigger, like an infidelity or considering divorce. So
Mhm,
those
mhm.
are kind of the realms of
Awesome. Awesome. So depression, anxiety, young adults, those that are in transitions. I think too, like that transition from college to the workforce is startling.
yeah, it's a big
And yes, yes. And it feels like for a lot of people that everybody's three steps ahead of them
yes.
during that transition, for sure. That can be really challenging. So
Yeah.
that extra support during that time can be so helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of comparison that goes on, I think, in young adulthood, and so therapy can definitely help, kind of with maybe some cognitive distortions that
Mhm.
are going on and
Mhm.
just some perspective.
Right. And even just figuring out what somebody wants at that point, that can be really difficult for sure.
Mhm.
And then couples. So I also work a lot with couples, love working with couples. And I like that range of communication, where every couple can make improvements on
Mhm.
that piece for sure.
Mhm.
But then also some other potentially deeper issues like infidelity, intimacy issues, things of that nature. So that's also part of what you do, right?
Yep,
Mhm.
totally, yeah.
Awesome. All right. So tell me a little bit about your approach to helping. Obviously, that's different, right, with individuals versus couples. Maybe break them up a little bit. So, what's
Yeah,
your approach with individuals?
yeah, so with individuals, and I would say this is actually true for couples too, is really just trying to meet meet the patient or the client where they're at, and not forcing them to try anything or make any big leaps that they're not ready to. So just being like
Mhm.
patient with them and understanding really how they're feeling about their situation. And and again, I think this is the same for individuals and couples too,
Yeah.
but just trying to I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so with individuals and couples being collaborative
Yes.
with them in therapy, I do a lot of narrative work with individuals and
Ah,
to be kind of creating a story that is helpful for the client. And I don't really like the idea that I'm the expert and the client is
mhm,
coming to me for advice. That's not how
mhm.
it goes in session with me. I tend to see the client as they are the expert on their life, and I'm just
Yes.
here to guide them and to help them kind of like figure out what the important things are to them so that they can make decisions that feel good to them. So that's
Yes.
the
Yes.
approach that I have.
I love that. I think that is challenging for sure to know what are those important things. It seems like in some ways a very simple question, but it's not, and it's often complicated and challenging to figure out what you might want out of life, what you might want out of a relationship, what you might want out of your work life balance. All of those things can be really challenging. And I think too with couples that can be a big challenge of like, number one, there's two people that have different goals
Yeah.
potentially, and two people that have different needs and different personalities and different backgrounds,
Mhm.
and figuring out for them what exactly is it that you want out of your relationship, out of your time in therapy can be a big hurdle. So
Mhm.
I love that you're focused so much on where the client is and where they want to go.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that that speaks to a lot of like values-based type of exploration. We do a lot of that in session with me. So
I love that. I love that. All right. What about strengths as a therapist?
yeah, I think two things come to mind when I think of strengths, and the first one is not just being non-judgmental, a really really safe space. I've heard some clients talking about bad experiences that they've had in therapy where they felt judged or they felt like they weren't completely understood. And I think because of my background in mindfulness, which has a really big
Mhm.
emphasis on non-judgment, right? Even towards yourself as you're
Yes.
meditating, right? I think that comes across in my work with couples or individuals, just being non-judgmental and open to hearing whatever their situation is. So that's one.
Mhm.
And then I think another strength is actually that I am a newer therapist, that I am recently graduated. I think that that is a strength in the way that I still have all that grad school knowledge is still so fresh for
Yep.
me. And and I think that there's pros and cons to both. People who have a lot of experience, they have that the experience, which is a strength for them. And for me, it's more of like the evidence based
Yeah.
theories are still very fresh, and I think that that really comes across and is a strength.
Yes, yes. I think so. And I think too, it's that the freshness, right, of it being right there. Also, I feel like what can sometimes happen throughout, at least for me throughout my career, there is you start to get into your own like belief system, right, with how therapy
Mhm,
works.
mhm.
And that can be very useful because it can be kind of quick, but at the same time, having that general curiosity that is so fresh right there and you're right there with them can be extremely beneficial. Um, and that excitement
Yeah,
is there.
yeah,
And that I think comes across for sure in those sessions of like, I'm here, I'm ready, let's
yep,
work, let's figure
yep,
this out.
eager,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Yep,
Yeah, and that in combination with how you were talking about the non-judgmental piece, right? And letting letting the client tell you what is happening and slowing it down, I think can be a huge benefit
yeah,
to coming in to see someone where there's not, that judgment piece you were talking about happens when somebody is too quick.
mhm, yep,
Okay,
and
I think I know what's happening. I think I know, right? And that might not be true. And
yeah,
so allowing for some space and time to hear all of the story, all of the things that are really happening for that person.
mhm,
So
yeah.
I think that is a huge asset.
Yeah, all of the nuances. Yeah, and not like yeah, what you just said, not thinking that just because you kind of have an idea of what's going on that you understand the whole picture.
Mhm,
There's
mhm.
always those nuances to every individual that we see.
Yeah. And allowing for the client to say, "Oh, if there are those instances, oh, that's not quite it.
Mhm,
This is more. I need to say more." And for a client to feel that they can do that
mhm.
is so vital to the whole experience and how they can move forward. So
Yeah.
I think that is a huge, huge strength to have as a therapist.
Mhm. Yeah, being open to feedback, I think, is important on our end
Yes.
and as
Yes.
clinicians. So yeah, totally always open to hearing
Mhm.
what did I miss this session or what could I have done better? Is there something that you needed that I didn't give? I think is an approach that I try to take too.
Yes. Yes. And that real life learning of how to do that in a relationship.
Mm,
Yeah, there's nothing better than that because you're in a safe space. you can give feedback, you can share your thoughts and feelings in real time, which is vital to the process.
Yeah, totally.
All right. So what can a client expect to experience with a session with you? We kind of talked a little bit about it already,
Yeah.
but
Well,
yeah,
I have more to say on that. So
yeah,
I think something that really drew me to this profession is the art and the science of it as a therapist, and I think that
Mhm.
that comes across in session with me is um, there's that part that's very intuitive and very you know, doing like the intent listening and the looking to understand, which I kind
Yeah.
of consider more of like the art. But then there's also the science, which is like the evidence-based approaches that we know, and really being able to put that into practical tools for people to take
Yes.
away.
Yes.
So I think that people can expect to feel understood and listened to and heard and
Mhm.
seen, but then they can also expect to walk away with like practical tools that they can integrate into their life.
Yes. Yes. That is, I feel like having both of those things is crucial, right? Because you have to be, that relationship has to be there. And if you're being, with that person in the room and listening and understanding and guiding, and then you also have the tools, but having them together is everything because nobody's going to listen to the tools
Mhm.
unless they know that you're there with them and that you understand that, well, this might not work, but let's try it. But
Yeah.
that you know them well enough to know, hey, this is something that could be really useful.
Mhm.
Um, and they do have to accept it. So that balance is really, really important. To be able to do both is not an easy thing, but a wonderful, wonderful quality.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, what about results? I know a lot of
Yeah.
times people want to know what am I going to get at the end? What's the transformation? What's going to happen?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So, this kind of goes back to like what you can expect in my sessions too, but I also try to take a very practical approach to um, self compassion and
Mhm.
mindfulness, right? And not just kind of saying, oh, you need to be more self compassionate, right? Or we need to
Mhm.
increase mindfulness, but actually um, breaking it down and teaching clients like how do you do that, right? Some people
Right.
come to therapy and be like, I don't know how to be compassionate with myself. Like that's really
Mhm.
hard. And so again, getting those tools to be able to do those things, and then the result leads to for individuals being more flexible in outcomes and being more gentle with themselves and just kind of a greater sense of peace. Because I think a lot of people will come to
Mhm.
therapy, fearful of outcomes or just things that are really uncertain in their life. And
Yeah.
um, being more self compassionate and being more mindful kind of increases those skills of being able to sit with, whatever happens or whatever comes up. Um,
Right.
so I think
Right.
that for individuals, that's kind of my answer. And then for couples, the biggest thing that I see is just a greater understanding of their partner, right? Like really starting to understand why he or
Mhm.
she does, certain behaviors or feels
Yep.
certain ways, and understanding why that's happening. And then with that understanding, they're able to create new experiences
Mhm.
and engage with each other in different ways. So those are the
Right.
results that I see in clients that I work with.
Yes. Yes, I think too with couples, right, that um it's a wonderful thing to be in the room when that occurs, when one of the partners is sharing their experience and then sharing what's actually happening for them within that experience. And a lot of times it looks one way, but it's actually about something else.
Totally. Yeah.
And it can change how everything moves
Yeah.
when that other person knows, oh, they're feeling scared, they're feeling anxious, they're actually not, they're presenting in one way, but the underneath part is quite different.
Totally.
And if I can just take myself out of it and be with them through their feeling,
Mhm.
it can sometimes just dissipate, or
Mhm.
it can create, like you said, a new experience, a new dynamic, a new back and forth that can be much healthier and rewarding and make people feel a lot closer to each other.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because I do notice that with couples that usually they come in thinking their problem is one thing, but
Yeah.
realizing it's totally, something else that they weren't even aware of. And to kind of elaborate on what you were saying too, it is really, this is why I love working with couples, because
Yeah.
it is kind of almost that instant gratification of seeing,
Mhm.
as soon as they understand their partner, it's like, oh, now I can relate to you
Yes.
in a different way. And seeing
Yes.
that happen in session is really cool.
Yes. It's incredible. It's incredible to see. Yeah. All right. So, Katelyn, I want to share your contact information that's down on the bottom of the screen. But if anyone does want to reach out to Katelyn, you can do that at our website, vitalmindscounseling.com. And you can schedule right online. You can reach out to Katelyn via email, and her phone number's on there as well, text or call, and she can get you in for the help that you need or want. All right. Thanks, Katelyn.
Thanks, Laurie.
All right. We'll talk soon.